This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by... If it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch you need, Les Cafe is the place to go, indeed. Open 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week. Les Cafe Pancake House, located in Highland, Indiana on Highway Avenue. Les Cafe, where less is more.
Hello, we're coming to you from Wild Rose Brewery in Griffith, Indiana. With me today, we have some friends of mine that I met a couple years ago when we started.
That's right, Bill.
I started my show at WVLP,
right,
and then we kind of intermixed, invite each other on each other's show. With us, we have Bill Koch, who is the host of Under the Radar Sports Talk show on WVLP. And then with them, we have one of his hosts, Mark Maloney, who is also one of the hosts of Under the Radar Sports Talk show on WVLP. So what I'd like to start out talking to you guys about, let's talk about how it started. You know, I know the process of the WVLP interview with Paul and all that, so it's like being interviewed by the CIA.
That's right, a little bit like that. Yeah, he's a good guy though.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy.
So anyway, so we'll be on the air in August 5 years. So 5 years ago, and you know John King.
Oh yeah.
Mark knows John King, great guy, John King, and he has a show, Living It Up. John King, I also work with John King. And I said, wow, you have a radio show on WVLP. I said, that's pretty cool. I said, I'd like to do something like that. So I thought about having a music show because I love music as much as I love sports. But then I thought, hey, maybe I'll have a sports show because it's a little bit more unique than having a music show. And that's how I developed having a sports talk show. And my daughter, I had to get a name for the show, and my daughter, we were sitting around the table, let's think of a good name for this. I wanted to make it a little bit unique, and I wanted to keep it because it's low-powered radio and all this, and we're not Chicago and all of that. So she thought of the name Under the Radar Sports Talk. And we hit the ground running in August 23rd. What's that? 2014, right? Yeah, so that's when we started with our very first show. My very first guest was Ruth Lavery. She's a middle school teacher, and I thought she would be perfect for it, and she was. She was great on it, and I did the show with her for about a year and a half with another fellow, Marty Hemmersbach, who was another great guest host of mine. So we did that for about a year and a half, and then after that, I started mixing it in and getting a lot of great people coming on my show, culminating with a year ago, Mark Maloney just had his year anniversary. So we've been going pretty good at it, and it's been fun. It's been great. Now I have like a whole stable of people. Every once in a while I grab someone. I got people that know about professional wrestling or golf or tennis or whatever. Anyway, the bottom line is we have a nice little group of people. There's another young man, his name is Zachary Collins. He is a high school kid out of Cows, and he also does Valpo football games, high school football games. He does like the tournament games and all of that, and he's been a host of ours for over a year as well, and he's a great kid. He's going to be going to Valpo University and studying broadcasting there. So
awesome.
Yeah, so John King comes on the show once in a while because John does know sports, and some other great guests. Mitch LaRock of Forever Young Sports Cards. He's got a great show coming up. You ought to meet him, Bill. He's an interesting guy. You'd like him. He has a sports card show coming up in your neck of the woods over here at Phyllis Caesar Hall over here.
Oh, yeah.
On August 25th. So he's a great guy. He comes on and talks about sports. Hayden Maloney, John's son, comes on, and he's one of our co-hosts too. When he comes on, great having him on. So we've got so many great people. You can't get on my show, Bill, as you know, unless you're a great guy, right? We don't like people. I mean, once in a while.
That's why I've only been on once.
Yeah, no. You've been on a couple times. Yeah. But now you live up this way, so it's tough. But the thing about it is, the most important thing for me is to like the people that I'm with doing it. Because there are certain people that they get kind of tough. They think they know more than you, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, but I want to keep a level of respect on the show too. If the show gets disrespectful, then it's not going to work for either one. So I had a couple bad ones along the way, but for the most part, I would say I am so lucky the people I have coming on this show. We don't get paid, right? So it's all volunteer. Everybody has a chance, and that's what I love. Everybody has a chance to talk about themselves a little bit, and also get out their sports knowledge. So that's what's so great about it.
And you talk about keeping it civil on your show.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one thing that I constantly rake about this every time. If there's anything I still go off on, it's ESPN. I just don't understand their programming anymore. I really don't. It goes from these stupid video skits that athletes do to these commentators that are, it's almost minutia. Then they get into arguments, and I know it's drama and all that sells for advertisement, but I gotta tell you one thing I tell our audience about your show: it is serious sports. You guys delve into players, stats, how the standings, what the standings are. Plain and basic, and very, especially someone like me who needs to get caught up. Like I was just telling before we started the show, I just think the Major League Baseball season has gotten way too long. And for me, I can't tune in the first part of the season. The nice thing about your show is I could tune in and get caught up and then start watching the show again. And I know you probably prefer that I didn't watch Cubs games, but...
Yeah, but like we pride ourselves on a mark. You can talk about this also, is the fact that what we like to do, we come on Saturday morning from 10 to noon, and we kind of give a recap of the entire sports week. So if you didn't watch anything the entire week, you can watch our 2-hour show and be caught up of the week's events.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And the way we do it, we'll do a deep dive on some things, and then there's some other things we have fun with, a little bit of brevity, but we really kind of try to ride the middle of the road so that everybody can kind of tune in and get something from the show. That's kind of the whole idea. Even speaking of Chad's mailbag, Chad Lincoln,
Chad's
he's
mailbag,
been with the show
for 3 years.
3 years now.
A fella in Illinois who listens to our show, and I got in touch with him and I said, why don't you send us a mailbag? So every Saturday or every Friday night I get 10 questions from him, and we answer them on the air, and he's been religious with us for 3 years now. So he's a great contributor to the show. He's never physically been on our show, but he's always there. He always contributes every week. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't want to have this without him. But the key thing too with the show is, like Mark said, kind of like what he's saying here too, is we don't just automatically throw out all of our opinions. We talk about the sports and we kind of stop it right there so the person listening can make their own opinions.
Sure.
We don't just, it's not like I. I've had people on my show that have the I, and then I'm thinking, this guy just wants a platform for himself. We do our show talking about sports. We highlight the events of the week. It's not about Maloney, it's not about Koch, it's about what happens on the field for that week, and I think that's what the people like. But once in a while, because me and Mark have been on a year now, and we kind of know how each other thinks, so we're being a little bit more comedic now, and I like that too.
I think so. And another thing that we do too is when we have a guest host on, we have that third person, that fourth person. We, as Bill said, when we work together, we kind of already know how it's going to go and how he's going to answer, how I'm going to answer, and kind of the whole flow of the show. What we like to do is really empower our guests as they come on to have a voice and lend that, so every week is a little bit different.
Right. And there's no commercials, there's no interruptions. If you're listening to sports talk at any radio station in Chicago, every 5 minutes, Mark, there's a commercial or something. We go 2 hours and we don't turn the mics off. So there's no regrouping with us. And I think that's appealing to people, because when they turn our show on, that's it. It's pure sports. There's no commercials, and like what you were saying, the other stations like ESPN, they have to do certain things. We don't. We have the freedom. If we want to talk about minor league baseball for some reason, we could do it for 2 hours if we want. We were talking about college basketball, and we were taking the deep dives into all the small conferences that people don't talk about on ESPN and different stations. So we have the freedom there. And as you know, WVLP they give you a lot of freedom in terms of your content, right? You can come on there. They don't say, hey, you got to talk about this. Don't talk about that. But at ESPN, no, they it's controlled by Big Brother.
Right, and that's one thing I think I've enjoyed listening to your show, and I try to tune in Facebook Live periodically.
Yeah,
but
it's tough.
But I enjoy. And by the way, he is on Facebook Live, and you do that off of WVLP's, right? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I do it off my own, but then I share it on WVLP.
Okay.
But it's
That's
only
what
my ugly mug. I don't have it set up that we can show the whole guest. But what I do is during the week with my editor, my film editor, I'll do vignettes of our show. Some key highlights of the show I'll post on Facebook and things like that.
And that's nice. I noticed like you'll catch a certain segment of your show and post it.
Right.
That's helpful because you don't have a lot of people say you got to go to blah blah blah, and you're next thing you're scrolling. But that is nice having that breakup.
And the thing too with the name Under the Radar, I never wanted to name it my show, Bill's show. I always wanted to keep it Under the Radar, and now I've got the Maloney family involved. I got Zach Collins. I got so many people involved. It's like it's become a family atmosphere, really. And that's what I really want is that atmosphere where everybody can come on and feel comfortable about talking about sports on the radio. It's not about Mark got one on me, I got one on him. We don't do that, I mean, it's.
Yeah, and you do have some competitions on though. However,
we do like who's good. We do our NFL football games.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark gets more right than me for the week and things like that. So we do have some competition.
And the Super Bowl show that we do.
The Super Bowl show. We do the parlay bets. Who's going to score the first touchdown? Blah blah blah. We go through all the parlay bets. We have a 3-hour Super Bowl show.
But there was one that is you go on like every week that you kind of pare down. What is it? It's like the worst.
Oh, we had a feature. I had a feature. It was called the Tournament of Hate.
The Tournament of Hate.
Right.
Yes.
So we take 64 either things about sports that we don't like the soccer over. When a game is tied in soccer, they do a shootout, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say the shootout in soccer, and I put that up against, let's say, designated hitter, or I put that up against Tom Brady, or John Calipari, the coach for Kentucky, and we put it in a tournament fashion, and then we vote on it, and then whoever is hated the most for that week goes on to the next round. So we do that as well. And that's fun. We should start that up again.
We should.
Yeah, it is. That I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Every week I tune in just to find out who's at the top.
And this guy here, Mark Maloney, has some amazing impressions. I don't want to put him on the spot, but I'll leave that up to you. But this guy, people should pay him for some of his impressions on the air.
Cool.
Well, we'll see. Someday, maybe.
Yeah. No, he does it. He's awesome.
Sports personalities, or
Yes.
A little bit of everything. So, like Harry Carey, for example. A little bit of Christopher Walken.
Now you're going in my territory.
The Bears.
Bill, I'm here on your show. Love your show. Love the venue. It's really great.
I tell you what. The lion is the king of the forest, right? The animals come up to him, they start making brawls. Next thing you know, the lion's up tearing the shit out of everybody.
I've seen that one. That's good.
I like it. Very good.
Yep. So we have impressions.
Don't bring Christopher Walken this way, pal. I wish I were Christopher Walken.
Tell me
Have
about
you ever
it.
seen that guy dance?
Yes. He's fantastic.
Yeah. Actually, that's how he started his career, dancing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you watch, what movie is it again? Where he's dancing at the wedding scene, that a famous movie. I can't think of it now. It's a war movie. Anyway, he does a lot of dancing in that movie.
Well, he does tremendous dancing
Is it Full
in
Metal Jacket?
a Fat Boy Slim video
That's right.
for that music.
Right.
And he does all the dancing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I haven't seen him in that thing in a while. I've seen pictures
He's
of him.
getting up there a little.
Yeah, he's looking pretty sad, but I mean, I really enjoyed his acting. Honestly, you could tell. But but mostly, every day they classified him as a dark character, so he played a lot of dark characters and some comedic roles too. So.
Right.
But we're here to talk about sports, right?
Yeah, we can talk about
what are you guys doing? You're here talking about dancing, you're talking about lions in the woods. What are you talking about? Come on, let's get back to the sports. All right. So, you're coming up on a very special event.
Right.
Your
It'll
anniversary.
be 5 years, August 23rd. We're going to have a show, and it's still in the works. But I can tell you what my show's going to be. We're going to have as many guests that have been on my show in the past. We'll have them on, and I'm hoping to make it. And I'm trying to convince Marty Hammersbach to come on. He said he'd come on, and he's my second guest host that I've had on my show 5 years ago. Real knowledgeable guy, and I'd like to have him come back on. He said he would. We're going to have a bunch of things going on. Some food in the studio, some laughter. Maybe I can get Frank Rivoli. If you're out there, Frank, my man Frank Rivoli will come in the studio and play some music for us. And he's a real good guy. So it'll be very festive. But along the way, because it'll be a 2 to 3 hour show, we'll end up talking sports. And right around that time, we're probably going to do our NFL preview.
And that is August 23rd?
23rd, but our anniversary show, we might put it back a week to the 30th, we'll see, but it'll be 5 years at the end of August.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know, Bill, when that is.
All right. Yeah, I may come on and do a little live casting. Never know.
Yep.
Set up our stuff. They'll let me in the studio. I think it'll let me out.
I don't know. So we've got some things planned and for that. And I am surprised I'm on this long, 5 years. Not because I didn't want to do it. I was always, this is about Mark Maloney now, right? I've had a lot of great guests over the years come on Under the Radar Sports Talk, but there was always something going on. Like, it's tough. Saturday mornings are tough for people to come up every week, and I always said, I gotta find some guy, gal or guy, and I believe me, if there's any gals out there that like sports, give us a call, because I would love to have a female voice to go along with us on the radio. It's awesome. But I was always looking for somebody that has that passion, that burning desire to talk sports, and here he is. I never thought I'd find him, but I found him. Cool. I found him on Facebook because he was commenting on some of my posts, and I'm like, maybe this is the guy. So a year ago, we sat down and we talked. I'm not going to call it an interview because it wasn't really an interview. We sat down and talked, and I said, wow, this could really work. And then, Mark, you spoke to Greg a little bit about things, I think, right?
Yeah, well, I had already known the station because when I was consulting, I was helping, build from the ground up, if you will, the Rise and Roll Donuts that's in Valparaiso. And we had an event coming up, which was the National Donut Day, and we gave all the donuts away, 1,700 donuts in 2.5 hours. And so I was doing all the promotions for it, and so I went over to the radio station and I said, hey, we'd love to be able to partner with you guys. See, I forgot what we paid or what the package was, but you guys were great. You were doing reads like every show for us, and really got the word out. So from everything plus the station, it was just really great. So I really enjoyed doing that, and then one thing led to another, and I think Bill got the word out that, hey, this guy's done some stuff with our station, and he is a sports guy, you might want to check him out. So next thing I know, he's like, hey, you want to be on my show? And we sat down for like an hour and a half and just riffed for an hour and a half, talk sports. And Bill, I'll never forget this, Bill's like, you realize we just did a show, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, no. He's like,
this is it.
I think this might work out okay.
Right. Yeah, and he's been awesome. It's sort of like I feel like he's been there all 5 years. It's that kind of thing.
Well, one neat thing about WVLP, it has a wide selection of music.
Yes, it does.
Different arts.
Yes, it does.
Shows about the arts. Terry Healy has a show there, and she delves into a lot of the things that are going on in the community. So it's one thing that they have a lot of niche shows that people are very interested in. Jazz, the different types of music, and even heavy metal.
Right. That's right. Ken Luther, the metal professor. Right. And Mark, once in a while, 4 o'clock on Fridays, he'll come in there and do some heavy metal too. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's something that has always been intriguing about WVLP, because they do allow the host their latitude to do what they do. as long as you fall within the FCC guidelines and you don't go Joe Rogan and like everything is an F-bomb or that's effed up or anything,
Right.
as long as you don't do that, then you're good.
Well, with sports, it's a real advantage for us to be able to have the freedom to discuss whatever the heck we want to discuss. Because last Saturday, we did something funny. We said, okay, so we were going through the funniest names of baseball players in the 70s with the funniest names. So I throw out the name Dick Cole, who was a baseball player in the 1970s. Then he comes back with one. So we were doing like one up and one down and this and that. And on regular, again, you're not going to get that on any other station but our station, talking about funny names of athletes for an hour or so, right? So we do all kinds of different things, so that freedom really helps
Which
us.
then led into our show
Tuesday night.
Which, as I said, it's a variety show. It's after hours on Tuesday nights.
Separate show.
But it's kind of a sister show.
Right.
And so, like, most shows will have, like, a UTR halftime, so we do, like, some scores and stuff. The show itself is very much a variety show. So, like, for example, this week, we did the 70s funny names on our sports show Saturday morning. And then Tuesday night, we decided to do the worst of the 70s, Volume 1. And the reason there's a Volume 1 is because I went down the rabbit hole, Bill, and it's a deep rabbit hole. And you get to like the California soft rock sound and the some of that disco stuff. I mean, it's some of it's really bad.
Then you get into the 80s and
the new wave and the punk and everything. So it'll probably be 2 years before we get to the 80s because we have so many 70s songs to go through. But so
I went through the 80s holding on to my jeans and my Led Zeppelin t-shirt, and I didn't want to give them up as people's hair got big and shirts got fluffy, and I stayed the course. I wasn't going to give up my Levi's
if you got any sports questions, throw them at us.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, what I thought we'd do is go through the baseball standings right now.
We can do that.
And, because that's something that's kind of interesting. I usually tell people, and that's what I love about his shows, because I totally ignore the first end of the baseball season. It just is not meaningful to me. Things happen. The standings really don't mean a whole lot until you get to the All-Star game, and then the race begins.
Right, and now we're headed into the dog days of August. And what happens in August is less days off as the season goes, and that's why they call it the dog days of August.
Right, but it's the thing for me that I find most intriguing, more competitive. So we start off with the AL East.
Sure.
And that's, of course, the leaders, the perennial Yankees.
The Yankees are leading. They're 8 games ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays right now.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Yankees, and Mark, we've talked about this, they've had so many injuries this year.
Yep.
And it's amazing with all the injuries they've had that they have an 8-game lead on Tampa Bay and a 9.5-game lead on the Boston Red Sox. And I still think part of their success is the fact that Boston isn't what they were last year. They lost their bullpen isn't what it was last year, losing Joe Kelly, and Evaldi's been not there that much, right? And so there's been some transition there. So the Yankees have taken advantage of that, and now the Yankees are getting healthy, right? So the Yankees are going to be tough, but some moves that we'll talk about it when we get to the other division. But the Houston Astros today, they may have clinched the National League with some trades they made at the deadline today.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The chess game starts.
Right, that's right.
The swapping of players and the pitchers and
so the Yankees are in first place, and the Rays and Boston are fighting for that wild card.
Yes.
And if you're a Boston fan, this has been a rough year. It
has, but they're starting to play a little bit better.
I think they just got too far behind.
Yeah.
So it's been tough to play catch-up when the Yankees have been playing so well.
That's right. And Mookie Betts, a great player, but not having that MVP season this year. Benintendi, the same thing. And,
And then we move on into the AL Central.
Yes.
I'm okay right now, thank you.
No, I'm fine.
Mark, you want to talk about the Central a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
We'll switch up. This is what we do on the show. I do one, he does the other. So perfect.
Yeah, we've got the Minnesota Twins, and they're 3 games up. They're a little bit of a surprise because Indians have run this division for
many
years. And all Minnesota does is hit home runs.
That's right.
And they lead the world in homers, and they've just had but Cleveland was about 10 games behind, and now they're 3 back. So they're making the charge. And the Indians maybe have a little bit better pitching, and
Yes.
so I think it's going to come down maybe the last week or two with these two teams.
Yeah, it probably will.
In this division.
And I had a chance to see the Twins play Thursday night and Saturday night. They're playing the White Sox, so I was at guaranteed right field with the arrow down, that thing. So I was out there watching it, and Mark is exactly right. This team pounds the baseball, but Mark and Phil, they're like a softball team, because what they do is they hit home runs, but in the field, they have very little range out there in the field, and they make errors, and I think when it gets to be crunch time, that's going to hurt them at the end of it all.
Correct.
Well, my dad, who, since I was a fetus, sung the 7th inning stretch in my mom's tummy, and then the Bears.
And you were stretching that tummy.
I was stretching it. And so when I was in my youth, I truly, because of my dad kept telling me, thought that the Sox were a minor league team. That's the single A team that's on now. We don't watch that.
Oh yeah.
But they're struggling. I mean, they're talking about the manager. They're talking. There's a lot of heat.
Right before All-Star break, they were doing very well, and they were almost 500. I mean, they were doing incredibly well. And ever since that All-Star break, the White Sox.
Now the young kid that was on the Cubs, Jimenez, got hurt.
Eloy.
Right, and just when he started, coming around there a little bit, now they've won 3 of their last 10. The White Sox, so things are not doing well right now for them. Under 500, 46 and 58.
And then we got the Royals, and then the Tigers. What is
Tigers are awful.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, they were a contender.
Yeah.
They had a cult following even around here.
Yeah.
And now it's like you never hear about them. They're kind of like off the radar.
And their best player, arguably their best player in the team, just got traded to the Cubs today.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. They must have been their best player.
Third baseman, yeah. Pronounce it for me.
Castellanos. Third base outfield.
That's right. So there's the Tigers. Yeah, they're suffering.
Yeah, that's okay.
They're not roaring this year, Bill.
No, they aren't. I mean, those poor Detroit fans. And we go to the AL West.
Right.
West.
It's all about the Houston Astros.
Oh, yeah.
All I got to do is say 3 names, and that'll tell you everything. They got Garrett Cole, one of the best pitchers in the American League. Justin Verlander, one of the best pitchers in the American League. And now they got Zach Greinke from the Arizona Diamondbacks, who now moves over to the American League. And Mark, arguably, maybe those are the 3 best pitchers in the whole darn American League.
Statistically, they're like 1, 2, and 5 in all of baseball.
So now you've got the Astros with an 8-game lead on Oakland. Forget about that. But what they really did when they got Zach Greinke is they put themselves now in position in the playoffs. Because now in the playoffs, they can bring Garrett Cole, game 1 or 2, but they got Verlander and now Zach Greinke. They got 3 aces in the hole. And when you have 3 aces in a 7-game series, that's
tough.
That is tough.
Yep.
So they're really positioned well right now, and looking to probably face the Dodgers maybe in a World Series. But we won't jump ahead here.
Yeah. Because then this is the game of baseball.
Right.
Anything can happen, right?
Right.
So now we get into. Let me see.
I'm sorry, the National League. Yep.
Yep. Here we go.
Yeah, we've got Atlanta with the lead, and Philadelphia led most of the way in the first half.
Right.
And then Philadelphia had a combination of injuries versus a certain $350 million ball player that was not playing like a $350 million ball player. And in Atlanta, who's young and talented, much like the Cubs were in 2015 before they won the World Series, they just blew right past Philadelphia. And so Atlanta runs that division, and Philadelphia and Washington are competing for a wild card in the playoffs.
Right. And you got 3 big players in the National League. You got Cody Bellinger on the Dodgers, Christian Yelich in Milwaukee, but maybe the best all-around player in baseball obviously for his age, but this Ronald Acuna Jr. for Atlanta is unbelievable.
He's
baseball player.
Yeah,
he does everything. He's a 5-tool guy, and he's helped Atlanta. Atlanta's got a good team. Freddie Freeman. They got Mike Soroka, a nice young pitcher there, and a lot of young pitchers on the Atlanta Braves, and things are going well for them.
Then we have, can we skip the NL Central?
You want to go to the Central? Well, hopefully the Cubbies can get back into first place. Right now, St. Louis has a game lead on them, and I know, Mark, they're playing them tonight, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Milwaukee 2 games behind the Cubs, and Cincinnati's 7 games out in fourth, and Pittsburgh 11 games out. St. Louis has won. They've been hot after the All-Star break. They've won now 7 out of their last 10 games. The Cardinals, and it's almost like I want to say it's like the Bears and the Packers. Throw out the schedules, throw out the records. You got St. Louis and Chicago first and second place. It doesn't matter. It's going to be a dogfight the rest of the way here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now I know on our way here, Mark mentioned that the Cardinals did not get anybody. Tonight's the trade deadline. The Cardinals did not improve the team while the Cubs went out and got that third baseman for Detroit. So maybe that's going to help the Cubs a little bit more there. So we'll see. But it's all going to come down, I think, again to pitching in this thing for them. And Milwaukee's tough too. I mean, Milwaukee could come back and win that division. And we might get a wild card or two. The Cubs are hanging on for a wild card if they don't win the division.
Yeah.
Then we move on to the NL West, led by the Dodgers.
Oh yeah, it is all Los Angeles Dodgers. They have
Loaded.
71 wins, and the next best team is 15 and a half games behind them. So there's that is a strong lead.
Yeah.
So as you say, you never say never in baseball, but
Right.
I think this one you could almost look at.
There's like hardly any chinks in the armor of this team.
Yeah.
Bellinger, one of the best players in baseball. They got a second baseman, Max Muncy, who's got like 20 plus home runs. Corey Seager out there at short. All around, they got the Garden Gnome, Justin Turner at third. I mean, they're loaded all the way around the diamond. And the pitching, they got Walker Buehler and Kershaw.
Yeah,
and then, right. And then I know Kenley Jansen might be on the DL right now, but they got a good pitching staff, the bullpen stuff.
Yeah.
But what they haven't been able to do, they've been good for years now, but they haven't won. They have not won a World Series since 1981, the Dodgers. So this is really a big year. So this is why, now Houston goes and gets Zach Greinke from Arizona. So I'm thinking Yankee fans are not going to want to hear this. Cubs fans may not want to hear this, but I think it's going to be Houston playing the Dodgers in the World Series.
Now, one thing I'm kind of sad about, because it was a big team. I was almost a Padres fan when I was younger, when I was a kid.
Right.
But now, I mean, look where they're standing.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of an interesting team. They went out and signed Manny Machado and paid him, $400 million plus some.
Yeah.
But so they got him, but they have a very young team. And they've been very good with their prospects, and they're building something there, and maybe it's going to click eventually. Maybe it will click. They got a young team, a lot of top prospects on the team, and things could change for them. Things can get better.
Yeah, but it's going to be an interesting run. It definitely is.
The wild card race in the National League is crazy. I mean, you've got Washington and Philadelphia right now, and then you've got one last spot, and the seventh team, the Mets, are only 5 games out from a wild card, and they're the 7th team in that wild card race for 2 spots. Wow. So it's going to go right down every night. This is like playoff baseball almost already.
Right.
Yeah, you make that one big run, and that puts you right in it.
Right. Yeah. So, an under-the-radar sports talk, college football, as you know, is around the corner. Yeah. Notre Dame football, SEC football, ACC football, Big Ten football. We're going to do a preview show in about 2 weeks, get everybody's head back into college football. NFL's coming up. This is a big time for Under-the-Radar Sports Talk, because we're going to have playoff baseball, we're going to have college football, and NFL football all going on at the same time. So it's going to be it's one of the best times of the year for talking sports.
Yeah. So guys, if you have not tuned into these guys, you've got to do it. Give it a try. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, they say they do deep dives periodically. I think the whole show is a deep dive, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I mean, they
we try, right?
Go around the horn and talk. Everyone talks about what's going on in the different leagues, and it's again, if you're as tired of ESPN as I am, these guys.
Or Chicago Sports Talk Radio.
Yeah, I mean, man, oh man. I mean, these guys are passionate about sports, and they are professionals. I mean, they don't get paid for what they do, but they are definitely. They put some of the professionals that are earning 6 figures to shame.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We try.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's well, you do more than try, and I saw the way you script your show. Oh my God! Kelly and I are loosely script. In fact, we don't have a script, quite frankly. We have general guidelines, and our whole concept is like sitting down and just having general conversation. Boy, I mean, the way you've got, when you tune in the show, you see the laptop in front of him. He's got every minute planned. I tell you.
I do have every minute. Well, you got to do it though.
Yeah.
You got to do it because there's so much to get in. We've got so many things going on in our head, and we want to get everything out there.
Yeah, when you're talking about some of the sports, when you've got so many, you've got different sports, college baseball, you've got college sports, professional sports.
Right.
You guys have even delved into high
Trades,
school.
free agents.
Yeah.
You can talk about high school sports and then minor league. I've heard you guys talk about minor league, and it's amazing show. So yeah, give it a tune in.
And we have a replay on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, CST, Central Standard Time. And of course, we have, our station's local, but you can listen to us at WVLP.org. And we're worldwide. I always like to say, Bill used to say it too, like worldwide. Like we got somebody, Kim Jong-un is listening to us in Korea or something, right? We have, but I remember one story that I had is that there was a guy in France that would listen to our show because he was hearing about the Blackhawks, and he was a Blackhawks fan, and he actually messaged me that he liked listening to us. This is when the Blackhawks were in the Stanley Cup run years, and he would listen to our show to get the updates because he couldn't get it in France as good.
Oh wow!
So I thought that was pretty cool. So and you've got friends in Canada listening to us?
Friends in Canada that listen.
Yeah, I got friends in New Jersey.
Florida. My daughters are going to Washington. They're going to Washington State University in the fall. So I said, well, we will give a shout out to the Washington State Cougars every Saturday if you can get your campus to listen to our show.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so we'll see if that happens. And people can also listen in on their handhelds on the TuneIn Radio app. So anybody can get the TuneIn Radio app. It's free.
Yeah.
And then we have the other show, After Hours, on Tuesday nights from 9 to 10. And Mark does a great job with that. It's a music show. We throw some sports in there. We come up with themes. And that's 1 hour, which is a marathon compared to the 2-hour show. So you know how fast an hour can go on.
Oh yeah.
It's like that.
It's a sprint.
So we get through that. And also I want to give a shout out right here to the Entertainer magazine.
Yes.
A great publication. Eric Sanchez has done an amazing job putting this publication together. Me and Mark write columns. Mark, can we talk a little bit about this before we hang it up?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mark, why don't you talk about what you write for on Northwest?
I am the beer expert for the Entertainer.
Yep.
So a lot of times I will come to places just like this, sample their craft beers, and write a little bit of an article about it. If I don't specifically keep it local, for example, I did Go Style Brewery in New Buffalo, Michigan when they first opened, so I did a nice article about them. But I'll keep it local as much as I can. If I don't, I just try to keep it with like a holiday theme. So I talked about like Irish Red Ales for the St. Patrick's Day edition, and then when we got to summertime, we talked about shandies, some of the best shandies you can get on the market versus going ahead and making your own and how to make one properly.
Well, they're talking about beers, and we can go off the path a bit because you started it. The local brewing industry has exploded.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about it is I've never seen so many startups. I mean, and we have some big breweries. There's one in New Buffalo that just started up, that's a huge brewery. And then they have the Beer Church up there as well, that is a favorite of ours. And very few have failed. It's kind of interesting because these are people that they actually fit the classic model of a business that's supposed to fail. Some guys that just have a business going on in their garage, or a lot of them have no business backgrounds, and next thing you know, they have a big honking brewery that is packed.
Right.
And we did have Poco, unfortunately, that just closed their doors, which is one of the few in the area. But craft, I think Chicago area has surpassed Denver in the amount of breweries, microbreweries in the area, which is amazing.
That's impressive. Well, coming in here tonight on a Wednesday and seeing all the cars, that's right. That's impressive.
Yeah, and I wish I could tell you is for our show. Some of it is, like, I think that, but the guy just left because his wife usually checks in and she's here, she calls him on the phone and says, get home, bro. But yeah, it's a pretty impressive place. We've got Byway Brewery here. We've got, then we have, let me see, then we have 18th Street, Hammond.
Right.
Then Three Floyds.
Three Floyds.
Yeah.
Can't forget that. Right.
So, and then Belpo, which was almost like a mecca of the breweries for
Right. Figure 8 and Ironwood and
Forefathers.
You got the
Forefathers.
Devil's Trumpet off of 30.
Yeah, Devil's Trumpet. Yeah, so we're pretty well packed as far as breweries. And like I said, they've all been very successful so far. So it's good to see that in the entertainment industry. In fact, that we rivaled Denver, which did have that ground for a while.
So back to the Entertainer, if I can again, and then check it out tomorrow, because the Entertainer comes out tomorrow. It's going to be all over the place. Mark's going to have his article about beer. I, of course, have an article of, guess what, Bill? Sports, right? Sports. John King has an article.
I thought it was fashion.
No, I can do fashion. I can do fashion, believe it or not.
Guess what the fashion would be? Sports.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sports fashion.
John King has articles about, bands and things. You have an article. Why don't you talk about your article?
Yeah, and what's going to be out there is what Kelly and I decided to do. We've had a lot of non-for-profits on our show. In fact, we started out as a general talk show, and it morphed into this interesting thing where people started calling us, say, hey, can we come on your show? Can we come on your show? And it's like, oh, sure, yeah. And next thing you know, we can't fit anyone else in. And so what we decided to do is have an open house at Byway Brewery on the 22nd. And what we're doing is inviting all the non-for-profits that we've had on our show to share in some fellowship and just talking and exchanging ideas and so on. And we're going to have a silent auction. So in fact, we have a number of companies that are providing baskets for specific non-for-profits. Like we just had a bank that said we want to provide a basket for your silent auction for the food bank in Northwest Indiana. We have Humane Indiana. Someone stepped up and said that we would like to provide a basket for Humane Indiana. So it is, it's our first attempt at this, but we felt like we wanted to recognize these people because some of the people we've had on our show, people out there never knew existed. We didn't know they existed till they contacted us and say, hey, we have this event coming up, and come on down. Let's talk about your event. And we love it because these people are as passionate about what they do and serving the community as you guys are about sports. I mean, this is their life, and they're our unsung heroes. And Kelly and I just love bringing their story out and telling people about what they do and how they're helping the community. So that's kind of exciting for us.
Well, you've got some great shows, Bill. I mean, I watch your shows. You've got some great shows. I mean, I loved your interview with Gary German the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and he doesn't do interviews.
Right, he does not do interviews. So that's a feather in your cap to get Gary German, the new prosecutor in Porter County, on there. Also, your show where you have Sheriff Reynolds on. I enjoyed that. And some of the other sheriffs that are there as well come on.
Yeah.
And you've had some great shows. You really have on domestic violence, drug addiction. So I appreciate all your efforts. I have always appreciated all your efforts.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. And it's something that is more because I had in this mind when I originally sat down like you did with Paul, what I wanted to do. And part of it was that roundtable discussion and things that are affecting the community. But I also wanted to bring celebrities on. And this is something that Kelly and I are finding kind of interesting. We bring some celebrities on. We bring some nationally and locally known Chicago talent, on-air talent. We get minimal amount of interest. As soon as we bring someone on like the food bank or Down syndrome of Northwest Indiana, boom.
Sure.
And I guess that's because that's what people are expecting of our audience, because they can't get anywhere else. Know who else goes out there. And that's what we feel good about. We're being the voice for these people who don't have any way of getting on. And we do it in such a way that it's like And that's what our format is. We try to be, and like it is today, and I told you guys before we came on, we love just having it be like, in fact, someone told me yesterday, that he viewed our shows for the first time, and he goes, it's kind of like you guys are sitting in the living room and you're having a conversation with a friend.
Well, that's when you know you have a good show. When it comes off, when it's not scripted.
And that's when we have a raw script, a very outline. Some people are very comfortable with that, but we just heard that one of our guests wasn't so comfortable with that, and we kind of understand. And I wish we knew that going into it. We would have staged things a little bit differently, but really that was what we wanted to evolve into, just sitting around. And and you bring up Gary. I have to look at the first interview we did with him when he was first elected. Never been on camera before. Never, and he's a pretty prominent lawyer, and then getting to be a prosecutor again. And the second time, I kind of enjoyed it because he was kicking back, and we were joking with him, and I'm like, and he called up and he was real worried. He says, "How'd it go? How'd it go?" Because I felt like a dork. And I said, "Gary, you did great. I mean, you went through all your programs that you're passionate about. I thought you did great, and he's a great guy."
Well, there was a day when I was the prosecutor, and Gary German would come into my office to talk about his cases when he was the criminal defense attorney.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
But this is one thing. We had a lot of levity. In fact, I thought Kelly got us into trouble. Gary said he took the state police out for breakfast, and Kelly chimed in and said, "Was that at Dunkin' Donuts?" And I said, "Kelly, you just got us in trouble, didn't you?" Because I envisioned, the cherries come up behind us. But we had fun with that, and also that we been into Sheriff Reynolds has invited us into a jail, not to incarcerate us, but to actually give us a talk about school security. And Jay Berkey, who's won a national award for Chaplain of the Year, national. And so we enjoy that.
So it's important, and we do that too. Like, we always like to try to expand our audience. We've had Troy Williams on, Porter County, Portage Police Chief. We're going to have another guy on. He's been on my show numerous times. He's now the track and field coach at Andrean. So we try to stretch it out.
We have a musician on.
We have musicians on. And that breaks that. You get a wider audience when you do things like that, right?
In fact, that was on your show when Troy was on.
You were, yes, you were. And I've had him on before, after that as well.
Neat guy.
He does good things with Portage too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, with that, I mean, I appreciate.
No, you just have to shut us up because we can sit here until 11.
You know what? I got to realize the fact. The last time I had you on your show, I said, we've got a time frame here of 1 hour. And I remember I was trying to push for 2 hours, but we got it because someone dropped the show and we had it for a while. And that's some work. Holy moly. Scripting for 2. In fact, that's when I had the script because we're worried about, do we have enough content?
And that was always my worry in the beginning, but then it vanished. After a while.
Oh, I mean, gosh, and it's amazing. You guys never have. Thank you, Sam.
But with sports, there's such an open book, talking because every day something happens, Mark, right? We have a new trade or a free agent signing. There's always something to talk about.
Yeah, that there is. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate being on.
And I really love what you guys do there. WVLP, I love it. Gave us our start. And, I still listen to quite a few things there.
And thank you for coming down to the Living It Up Fest. It was good seeing you there.
I cannot miss that. That is first of all, I'm passionate about the whole, what he does for Special Olympics. And John is, oh my gosh, and same thing about music that you guys are to sports. He is to
local music.
But he's put on this amazing music festival every year, living it up. And you know what? That's one thing I've got to say. And I try to educate people who are trying to put on charity events or events at all. $5 a ticket.
Right.
And he draws in a ton of people, and he draws in a great amount of, top-notch entertainers.
That's right. And it goes just like this. I say, John, you can make that ticket $10, and John says if I make it $5, it opens it up to more people.
Yeah.
And that's John King. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, but they bring in a lot of
They
money
do.
for
It
special
sure
events.
does. $100,000.
Yeah, and it's good entertainment.
Yeah.
They had good food there. They had Leroy's hot stuff there.
Right.
I didn't get my tarot card read. I did not.
I challenged you on it that day. I said, Bill, you got to go over and get your.
You know, I'm all about the now.
the now.
I don't
the
want
past,
to know
right? We don't want
the
to know.
past.
Right.
You can't
I agree with that.
It's like, I'm all about. I used to be that way. I used to stress about the future, but it's like, what can you do? Really?
The future's getting shorter for all of us, right?
Really, and it's I'd rather be playing poker than seeing these
Right.
cards tell me about what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if they say I'm going to die, I'm going to worry about it. I got to fit all this in now. I don't have
Maybe
to-
we just have to have a Texas Hold'em tent next time.
Right, right.
There you go. You know what? Yeah, I tell you what, you draw them in then.
Yeah, right.
No, but that was a great event this year. I'm sorry I couldn't stay long. We had something going on in the afternoon, but when I was there, it was just awesome.
Good
So,
scene.
And with that, we'll just wrap things up. I wish you guys the best on your
Thanks.
5th anniversary.
Thank you.
I'm going to be tuning in and
Good, good.
let us know what's
I'll
going on.
let you know what it is, yeah, for sure.
And
And what we got planned, and we'll talk.
Yeah, and we'll pass that along and post it on our Facebook.
All right,
So,
awesome.
All right.
Again, Bill, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And
Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate it.
Nice seeing you again. And this is it. So we'll wrap it up. Another show.
Go Cubs.
What? That shocked me.
Hey, I got to play to the audience.
There you go.
All right. Goodbye for now. Have a great rest of the week and weekend.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by... If it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch you need, Les Cafe is the place to go, indeed. Open 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week. Les Cafe Pancake House, located in Highland, Indiana on Highway Avenue. Les Cafe, where less is more.